Hello, my friends, and welcome to this, what I think will be a very interesting and informative, deeply informative series of readings where we're going to be looking at the North Node in each zodiac placement now. So this is the intro that's going to be at the front of every one of those readings that I will be doing with tarot and oracle cards and divination and channeling. But I did want to touch on the houses before you get into your actual North Node zodiac reading. It's really important to know about the house that your North Node is sitting in, because really that has a lot to do with the areas of your life that you are likely going to feel and struggle the most with this North Node that you have. So on the back end of every one of these readings, these tarot readings, is a whole big video on all of the house placements for the North Nodes. They're going to be time-stamped in the description of this video. So if you don't know the house placement yet of your zodiac sign, you can go to Astrology Cafe. That's the first one that's coming up in my head. There's a lot of different ones that you can check out. If I remember, I'll try to put them in the links to them in the description as well. You guys are always so helpful with each other in the comments too. I know people can do that also. I thank you so much. So yeah, I think it's important to know what that house placement is so that while you listen to this reading, it's going to have so much more influence on you really understanding it and being able to apply it to your life. Because let's say, for example, this happens to be the reading for North Node in Aries. But you know, like everyone coming to North Node in Aries is going to have at least all 12 house placements likely, right, that are going to represent where you're going to really feel it in the areas of your life. You're really going to, if you can meet these challenges, really find success. So, yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. I have some notes here. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I just want to say too, it tends to be the areas when we're dealing with our North Node, feeling these challenges, there's a tendency for the things that we desire the most, those end up not necessarily fulfilling us. We get them and we're like, this is not fulfilling, because we're always going to struggle with the South Node. Like that's what we're strong in. And I touch on that in the North Node. I don't think you can exclude the two. You can't, because it's your steps. So you can't stand on your South Node without taking a step forward onto your North Node. So you have to know what that step before was and why you feel so comfortable on it. So I think that's one of the really poignant ways to realize when you are getting a little, you're clinging to your South Node here. You have these things that you want in your life and you're achieving them and they're not fulfilling. It's kind of easy to achieve. It's something you kind of, I yearn for that because it's so familiar. So that can be one of the ways you start to kind of feel your North and South Node pulling. Another one is to easily slip into options when asked, to slip into the easy option, the familiar option, the comfortable option when asked to step out of our comfort zone. So North Node is not easy, but you've done it before. We've all done them before. We lived thousands of lives, and we're all on different sort of paths that are mirroring and mimicking each other in different times and spaces. So you've accomplished North Nodes before. So, you know, depending on how easily you seem to be pushing outside of your comfort zone is maybe just going to represent how many lifetimes you spent mastering this house and astrological placement. Yes, let me see my notes here. Yeah, I think I've covered it all. I think so. Yeah. So yeah, so now if you don't know your house placement, I would encourage you to find out what that is and then go to the timestamp and you will see the house placement for your North Node and the timestamps in the description. That'll take you to the back end of the video and you just come right, and I'll put a timestamp so you can get the reading again. This is very intense. has been very hard for me. There's been a lot of work involved with it, and I have to keep remembering to stay on top of it with those timestamps for you. So there you go, my friends. Enjoy your North Node reading. Welcome to 12th house placement for the North Node. I am going to be looking down quite a bit. My iPad here, I've made like a ton of notes because there's just so much information. And if I wanted to do this all from my head, it would probably take me like a year or so to try to study this. So I really just want to produce the readings because I am generally a tarot divinator. So 12th house, I am going to, start going over it here. So pay close attention. I am going to thank right now, advancedastrology.com. I got almost all my information from that website, and it's incredibly informative. So, don't be afraid to look more information up for yourself as well. So the 12th house, people with this placement tend to be hard on themselves. You want to be of service to others all of the time, neglecting yourself. Guilt and anxiety are often present with the North Node in the 12th house. The 12th house is all about connecting with the divine, forgiveness, and unconditional love. You should allow yourself to enjoy life more. No longer looking for proof of God, but finding it in yourself and in all things around you. Just knowing. Rewriting your perspective and pulling away from what you see as what is really existing. Instead, believe in your intuition and what you feel and can dream as being just as real as what you see with your own eyes. So with this placement, you have mastered the 6th house, which is your South Node. Your connection with your higher self and the universe becomes a major focus with the North Node in the 12th house. In the past, you worried a lot. The South Node in 6th house indicates a tendency for anxiety. So you perfected anxiety. Isn't it like, wow, gee, thanks universe. I perfected anxiety. We have to perfect everything. The North Node in 12th house, on the other hand, suggests that after you have done everything in your power, your soul has to learn to trust the universe to support you with the rest. North Node in 12th house, people have to develop faith. So this is kind of learning to let go of anxiety. Like there's just some things you can't control, and it's all going to be okay. You have a rational approach to life, even in cases where logic doesn't apply. The South Node in 6th house suggests that in the past, you were an extremely grounded person. You are used to taking care of yourself and others. You are very practical, and you navigate the material world well, keeping everything in mind, carefully planning and sticking to your plans. You work hard and you are persistent. I mean, it's a lot like it's Virgo. It's like the energy of Virgo, right? People with this placement often spend a lot of their energy helping others. Service is an important keyword of the 6th house. And with the South Node there, you excel at this. See, again, the things that we excel at, the things that we are very naturally attuned to, that's our South Node. So, okay. Breaking free from reality is challenging to North Node and 12th house people. But this is where real growth can happen. By learning to use your fantasy and imagination, you discover a new domain that helps you become who you are meant to be. So you can see right there, like thinking about like this 12th house, like this dreamy, fantasizing world compared to a Virgo. Like I would almost picture someone like a Stephen King, like the 12th house, all of that mystery and imagination that comes to life in his mind. You can actually make something with that though, but the 6th house is, well, you know what? You should probably write a PhD on the biomechanical, right? Like you gotta push that aside. It feels comfortable to be there, but this is what you're meant to grow. For the North Node and 12th house people, it is very hard to let go. In the past, you mastered being in charge, and you want control in every situation. However, the North Node in the 12th house indicates that in this lifetime, you have to learn to trust the universe. Going with the flow is where the growth can happen in this case. The North Node in 12th house suggests that it is time to develop your intuition. The 12th house is the house of the collective unconscious that knows the answer to any question. In this lifetime, your soul wants to learn to tap into this reservoir of wisdom. So that, my friends, is your 12th house. So now I would go and watch your reading in whatever sign your North Node zodiac sign is sitting in, and you can see how you apply it in a particular way of your life to this. So thank you, guys. Hello and welcome to your 11th house. So I am wanting to thank advancedastrology.com because I pretty much used it mostly for all of the information that I gathered. And I do encourage all of you to learn more about your house placements as well for this, because this is not just limited to what I have here. But I tried to get as much as I could. All right. So having said that, the 11th house. This is not an easy position of the nodal axis. There is a strong conflict between your individuality and your ability to fit in. In the past, you are a very dominant personality, striving to take up the central place. At the same time, it is hard for you to step back and follow the rules of the group. Even though you craved friendships, the North Node and 11th house suggest that in the past, you didn't fit in well in any circle of friends. Many North Node and 11th house people are lonely as children and young adults. It takes time for you to develop social skills and to learn and be part of a group. You often find it challenging to follow the ideas of other people. You may struggle with electronics. This is funny too, right? Because it's such a funny thing, but electronics has to do with the 11th house, and that's what you're trying to master. So, you know, if some of you out there struggle with electronics, always seems to go wrong in your hands, or it breaks down, or I don't know, it just doesn't work. Your challenge is to work and master aspects of digital communication. I kind of laugh at that because my North Node is Aquarius. It's not in the 11th house, but I have so many problems with electronics, I swear to God. So, but you've mastered the 5th house. So this is where you have that step. It's really important to think about what our South Node is, because that's the foundation. That's the steady step that we stand on as we take a step up into the North Node. It supports you in a way, but it's also asking you to step forward. So you've mastered the 5th house. People with the South Node and 5th house often shine as individuals. In the past, you developed a royal attitude. This is actually a really interesting placement. And you probably had a position where you were adored by many. Some people with the North Node and 11th house came from an aristocratic background. This placement suggests a highly creative... Actually, I'm going to stop right there because I think that could be very likely for you. Because again, I'm not the 11th house, but I'm Libra North Node, Leo South Node. And I had, I don't know what they call it, a regressive astrological reading done for myself by a professional astrologer. And he actually identified even me as possibly having an aristocratic background, but more like a shiny guard that never went to battle. But so it's interesting, right, how that is mimicked here in the house placements as well. This placement suggests a highly creative person who knows how to enjoy life and wants to have fun. North Node and 11th house people are very often entertaining, joyful personalities who are fun to be around. That's your natural state, right? Like it's your South Node. At the same time, they can find it hard when people are not paying special attention to them. The questions of individuality and being part of something bigger, where you are only a faceless point in the mass, are key when talking about the 5th house and 11th house. It is not easy to give up on your individuality with this placement in the birth chart. In the past, you stood out in some way, and situations where you are not in the center of attention can be challenging for you. The North Node and 11th house suggests that in this lifetime, you have to focus more on how you help your community. Contribution to society is an important key word of the 11th house. People with this placement tend to focus on themselves more, and they need to learn to recognize the individuality of other people. Taking a look at the world from the perspective of others can help you see more clearly. So that's what I have for your 11th house, my friends. And as I said, like, this is just a very small portion. You can find more, I'm sure. So yeah, so thank you very much. And so yeah, now I encourage you to go to the beginning of the video and watch the, what do I do? Yeah, the cards, you know, yeah, that thing. Thanks so much, guys. Bye. Hello and welcome to my fellow 10th house placements. So I am a 10th houser, and it's a very interesting placement, my friends. So let's get started in it. Oh, before I do want to thank, I am at the beginning of each one of these. I want to thank advancedastrology.com. Their website is where I got the majority, if not almost all, of my information, because it was just so well done. So I do want to give them a thank you at the beginning of each one of these. All right, 10th house. When the North Node is placed in the 10th house, this is your professional life and the role you take up in the eyes of the world. In this lifetime, this is a really key, this is the one thing I found with this house placement, in terms of the possibility for tremendous growth, this house placement seemed to what I was able to pull out. And it makes sense when you think about what, that Saturn rules this house placement. This is where you can have the most tremendous growth in a lifetime with this placement. But it's a challenging lifetime. So you earn it if you get it. In this lifetime, you can experience tremendous growth in this life area if you are willing to face the challenges and lack of experience. There's a lot of that energy of, and I can, you know, being a 10th house or two, you guys are going to have a little bit of a different information session here because I am in the 10th house with this too. So I can kind of lean on my own personal experiences as well. A lot of fake it till you make it energy. And, you know, some people say, well, no, you're not really being authentic. No, you have some sort of knowledge about something and you realize that, you know what, the only way I can really grow in this is just jump in and do it. So that is a big part here of the 10th house is you got a lack of experience, jump in and do it. The North Node is usually accompanied by issues in the corresponding aspect of your life. Oh, yeah, okay. With the North Node in the 10th house, your soul wants to take responsibility for your life and become the master of your own ship. So if you think about that too, like think about Saturn is constrictive, but with Saturn, it's asking you to meet the challenge. If you can meet the challenge, your rewards can be much greater than what Jupiter just hands it out like this, right? So in the past, you likely stepped back when there was an opportunity to fight for your goals in this world. This placement indicates that you often sacrificed your needs, prioritizing your family and others because you've mastered the 4th house, right? Chase your ambitions and aspirations, even if it may not be accepted by family, friends, or community. Depression and exhaustion can be feelings to work through in this challenging but potentially greatly rewarding placement. Strong emotional reactions and thinking through them are common in this placement, especially since you mastered the 4th house, your South Node, Cancer. So yeah, there's like the whole idea too of 10th house representing like the devil in the tarot with Capricorn. It's like the things in your own mind that can hold you back. And the reading that I had astrologically, actually it was kind of funny. The reader said, you know, with this kind of chart, you can either get depressed or exhausted. If you're exhausted, it means you're working through these things. And I thought to myself, should I tell him that you can actually get depressed and exhausted in this placement? Because it can be very challenging. In this lifetime, your soul wants to focus on understanding your emotional response on a rational level and letting go of the patterns that do not serve you anymore. Be more independent, set your ambition free, and replace insecurity with thorough planning and executing on these plans. So, you've mastered the 4th house. Well, why is this? Oh, no, sorry. I think I talked about this. Sorry. I can read this, yeah. Okay. The South Node in the 4th house suggests that in the past you focused on taking care of others' needs. You feel a strong pull to make everyone feel safe and comfortable. So you've probably mastered like a happy home life with the 4th house. You know how to look after your parents, you know how to create a home, you know how to make everyone feel comfortable, you know how to have roots and foundation. And see, that's kind of one of the things that you're going to find, and I find in this lifetime, every time I try to have roots and a foundation, it kind of gets pulled away, or I start to feel like one of the things I talked about in the introduction, like, this is not fulfilling me, but this is what I want. That's your South Node talking to you, and your North Node going, hey, think about that. So you may even find yourself traveling a lot or moving around a lot because you're meant to really grow and expand. You feel a strong pull to make everyone feel safe and comfortable. However, it happened that you did this at your own expense, helping others when you yourself needed to help too, right? Because you mastered that. So at some point, you just became so good at helping and making everyone else feel comfortable, you forget about yourself. Looking after others and making a good home are natural to you. You may not even want to leave your home very often with this house placement, but you must not go out there and carve your identity. I have to say, the pandemic, oh my God, like DoorDash and grocery delivery and Netflix, it's like, wow, I can just stay here. But I can't, you have to get out. So, my friends, that is your 10th house placement. It is one of the more challenging ones, apparently. I feel like everything that I read in my own chart is one of the more challenging ones. But there is a tremendous potential for great growth, like tremendous growth in this. So yeah, that's what I got for you, my friends. Good luck with that. And I encourage you to go to the beginning of the video for whatever zodiac sign that you've come to now, and you can see how you're applying this to that placement. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hi, and welcome to your 9th house placement. So I do want to say a thank you to advancedastrology.com because their website was paramount for me doing this, like collecting information. I pretty much utilized them for the most part. It was a really good, factual, well put together, just excellent. So I do want to thank them before I do each one of these. So the 9th house, my friends. The North Node in 9th house suggests that in the past, you mastered the art of gathering information and focusing on your immediate surroundings. However, if you are too close to something, you inevitably miss some details. Sometimes it is best to take a step back and observe the bigger picture. To put it short, this is a key life lesson for people who have the North Node in the 9th house. In this lifetime, you can grow by learning about philosophy, developing your spiritual side, and admiring the wisdom and the abundance of the universe. Once you've mastered these things, you can become an excellent and inspiring teacher, showing others with your example that life has a meaning. People with the North Node in the 9th house tend to get lost in details. There is a strong need to ensure that you can get all the information you can. However, North Node and 9th house people tend to be all over the place. You have all the building blocks, but you also need a plan and a vision of what you want to create. This is a key life lesson with the North Node in the 9th house. This placement suggests that you easily get interested in things, but you lack follow-through. You become excited when you find out about something new, but as time passes, your excitement disappears. You tend to jump from idea to idea. Finding meaning in life is one of the most excruciating questions for this placement in their natal chart. Many people who have their North Node in the 9th house feel that they are unfulfilled. You know, I just want to stop there because just to me, that's something I talked about right at the beginning of the video. Like, you know, when you're going after things, but you feel unfulfilled even when you've achieved them. So that's a very strong in this 9th house placement. That's a really difficult feeling to work through. So I feel like it's even validation, you know, like if you experience that a lot in your lifetime, like I just don't feel fulfilled. What is wrong with me? There's nothing. It's part of your challenge. Learning to trust your intuition is essential with this placement. The 9th house is the house of the higher mind, the super ego that guides you in your life. The North Node in 9th house suggests that this part of you was ignored in the past. You wanted facts and data, but data is not everything. You also need faith, represented by the 9th house in astrology. Developing this faith is what helps you grow with the North Node in the 9th house in the natal chart. You need to find wisdom in yourself. Learning about spirituality, philosophy, religion can be helpful for North Node in 9th house people. Another key life lesson with this placement is developing a sense of freedom. So you've mastered the 3rd house with this placement. The 3rd house represents your immediate surrounding, your neighborhood, people around you. The South Node in 3rd house suggests that in the past you paid a lot of attention to what others thought about you. You have a strong desire to stay in one place, both physically and mentally. However, this is not where growth can happen. You may be easily swayed by what others think you should do, particularly by the opinions of siblings and other close family members. Higher education might not have been a priority in your past lives, but in this North Node placement, it will be important in expanding your knowledge and spiritual beliefs. Being an avid reader or even a teacher of some sort would provide you with some fulfillment. So that's kind of something to think about too. Because, you know, like the traveling, you can travel with your mind. So if you even, maybe there's a yearning to physically travel, but you don't have the funds to do it, you're just living in a particular type of situation where you can't physically travel, read. Like don't feel that you are not fulfilling something in your life by not physically traveling, because it could just be that this part of your life for working and mastering the 9th house is a physical travel of the mind. And maybe you've already done in some lives, like the knowledgeable travel, like the travel that happens in your mind. The physical travel could be something that you've already kind of mastered working through this node, or it could be something that you'll be mastering in another lifetime or later on in this lifetime. So don't, because when you feel unfulfilled, that is one of, like, I feel like the strongest urges in anyone's lifetime is to feel fulfilled. So when I saw that in your house placement, I thought, well, that's difficult. So find the things that give you fulfillment, and don't say, well, you know, why couldn't it be this? Because even if you can't physically travel, you can be an avid reader. You can learn so much. My grandfather was like that. He actually wasn't much for traveling very much. Physically, but God, did he ever read? He read a lot. So, oh yes. So I'm pretty much done. So that's what I have for you, my friends. So you can go to the beginning of the video and watch the actual divination portion of your North Node. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hi, welcome to your 8th house placement for your North Node. I do want to thank advancedastrology.com before I get into this, because I pretty much use them almost exclusively for the information that I'm about to provide for you. It was an excellent website. So having said that, I do want to also mention that, you know, don't just feel like it's just this. Please, more than encourage you to look beyond what I have here, because there's going to be more information than what I have, but I try to be as thorough as possible in a very condensed way. So now we're going to get into your 8th house. So the 8th house is a scary house in the chart wheel. It is connected with death, trauma, and transformation, but also with regeneration and rebirth. Transformation is a major focus in your life with a North Node in 8th house in your birth chart. However, transformation and letting go feels unfamiliar to you, therefore scary. With this placement, you have a strong tendency to sacrifice transcendental experiences for comfort and safety. Material comfort is very important to you. And if you don't take care, you can find that you abandon your relationship with other people for the sake of creating abundance. But relationships with others are not everything. Your relationship with yourself also becomes important with this placement. With the North Node in the 8th house, it is time to learn that you don't have to do everything on your own. Having faith in life is one of the most important life lessons of the North Node in the 8th house. You often undergo deep transformation, triggered by loss or some traumatic experience that teaches you that your value is intrinsic, and no matter what happens in life, you can find strength deep within. The North Node in 8th house suggests that the North Node in the 8th house suggests that you have your South Node in the 2nd house, as the lunar nodes are placed directly opposite each other. So having said that too, So, and some of the things that I've already said, they may sound kind of Taurian. So you have mastered the second house, and the second house is that step, that foundation that we feel really comfortable on. But it's important that we acknowledge it and we know how it's affecting the step we make forward, because that's the place where we feel comfortable. But, you know, this north node is asking you to keep one foot on that south node and put one foot on the north node and progress up. So you've mastered the second house. With the north node in the 8th house and the south node in the 2nd, the questions of values, financial assets, being self-reliant become major focuses. You feel that you have to accomplish everything on your own without accepting help from others. You are used to being strong. Perhaps in the past you had no choice but to find strength in yourself. North node and 8th house people feel very uncomfortable asking for help. Sharing is one of the most important life lessons with the north node in the 8th house. Not only on a physical level, as in sharing your money or belongings, but also sharing yourself. You have a deep desire to bond with someone, but people with this placement are often afraid of being vulnerable. The north node in the 8th house is often characterized by extreme possessiveness. There is a tendency to hold on to what is yours, and you feel anxious if you have to share them with others. The north node here suggests a fear of loss. You unconsciously feel that you have to own things in order to enjoy them. Sharing makes you feel uncomfortable. Both you sharing your resources with others and others sharing their resources with you. I almost wonder too if some of you grew up with siblings or a sibling that, you know, always wanted to use your things or always wanted to take your things, and just get like really frustrated with that. Another tendency of this placement is to delay enjoying life. First comes work, then comes play in your book. However, it is important that relaxing and having fun also serves as a way of regeneration. Regeneration is one of the most important keywords of the 8th house in astrology. With this placement, you are a very strong person who can endure a lot. However, in the first part of your life, you probably had to hide your real emotions and be strong even in situations when you were falling apart within. With the north node in 8th house, it is crucial to ask for help and accept it. People with this placement often encounter events when they simply need to rely on someone else. I want to say, yeah, you probably find yourself in situations where you need to rely on someone else. Maybe your car breaks down and you know how to change a flat tire, but or maybe you're borrowing a friend's car and they don't have the stuff in there. So what do? Their car doesn't have all the things you would have typically had in your car to be prepared. So somebody comes by and they're like, oh, I've got everything here, I can do it for you. There might be some sense of like, you know, I'm capable of doing this. I don't really need your help. You kind of do need their help. So you probably find yourself in situations like this. Also, as I was reading this, I literally channeled like an image of like living in a neighborhood where people think it's okay to just borrow your stuff. It's like, how has this happened to me? Like, oh, I remember George let me borrow his weed whacker last week. That probably means I can borrow it whenever I need it as long as I return it. It's like people using your shit. Like, what's going on? So it's a challenge for you. I don't know. Nobody said the north node was easy. So I really imagined this stuff for you. So it was really, I think it's funny too, because I'm an Aries. So I'm like, oh yeah, I got to share stuff. Oh shit. Yeah, you can't just do it on your own. So I can kind of sympathize, even though it's not my placement. I find that kind of interesting. So that's what I have for you guys for your 8th house placement. So you can go to the beginning of this video now and watch the astrological sign, the divinated reading for that. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hi, and welcome to your 7th house placement. Before I get started, I do want to thank advancedastrology.com because I used almost their website pretty much almost exclusively because it was just so well done and I thought it was really thorough. And I tried to be as thorough as possible and kind of condensed here. So I do encourage you to look into more information for yourself. But this is what I got for you. So the 7th house. Now, it is time to shift your focus from yourself to others. I'm going to be all over this reading because you've mastered the 1st house and I'm an Aries. So in the past, you were often alone and you didn't have to make compromises. You were independent and self-reliant. However, individualism is not what helps your soul to grow in this lifetime. And when it says in the past, it's kind of like talking about past lives. It might be parts of your past life, this lifetime, but it's mostly past lives. In this lifetime, one of the key lessons for your growth will be your relationship with others, especially committed relationships and marriage. Your partners will teach you the most important life lessons that your soul wants to learn in this lifetime. I'm going to say you could have challenging marriages, I would just think with this, because not necessarily that you do. There's also like a gradient in this too. I mean, depending on how close you are to mastering this North Node, certain challenges are going to be easier and easier to meet. But it's just because it says that, like, most important life lessons are often some of the hardest ones that we work through. So, and because we're talking about relationships with others and even marriage, which is one of the biggest relationships that you have with another person in this lifetime, is it might be challenging. They might always be kind of pushing you into directions that don't feel comfortable. Both romantic and business partners contribute to your growth on a spiritual level. Other people are your greatest teachers with a North Node in 7th house. So this feels like maybe I can relate because I'm an Aries. And it's like, I know how to do it. I know how to do it. I know how to do it. I can figure it out. If I don't fall down, I'll get up. So yeah, like acknowledging that other people are going to be your greatest teachers in this house because you've mastered yourself, man. So how can they teach you anything? Like, you probably feel a bit of that. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's kind of what I think. Mastered's the 1st house. This placement also means that your South Node is located in the 1st house, the house of self. Finding balance between you and other people is what helps you grow. Needless to say, this is not an easy process, but it is what leads to a sense of fulfillment and happiness. Once you start to align your life with your North Node, you feel that you are on the right path. Well, actually, that's kind of nice too, because that's not really come up in any of the ones that I've read so far. I mean, a lot of times the North Node, you're always kind of feeling like there's certain things that you're gravitating towards and doing, but they're not fulfilling you. But again, it might have to do with a wax moving in my mouth, how many times you've tried to master this placement. The North Node in the 7th house suggests that in the past you were focused on yourself in the first place. Many people with this placement didn't have partners in the past. You had to deal with everything on your own. There was no one to support you but you. At the same time, this gave you great freedom to do as you wish. Because of this, compromises and cooperation are usually hard for you. You have a strong will and you are very independent with the North Node in the 7th house in the natal chart. The North Node in 7th house can also indicate a tendency to expect others to be like you. Even though you don't admit it, you want others to be, think, act like you. And if they aren't, you tend to abandon the relationship. The North Node in 7th house also suggests that you don't like taking advice from others. You want to do things your own way. This is not necessarily bad, but as you mature, you learn to recognize that listening to others can broaden your horizon and perhaps show you a better solution. This placement can indicate being socially awkward, especially in the beginning of your life. The North Node in the 7th house can sometimes suggest anxiety when it comes to meeting people and especially getting close to them. You know, it's kind of funny because even as an Aries, I always was like, I felt I was kind of shy in situations with new people earlier in my life, and I'm just right out there, like all over it. So that's interesting. You start to feel very uncomfortable as the relationship develops. Oh, so this is talking about, okay, so just anxiety, especially getting close to them. So it kind of like continuing on that path, you start to feel very uncomfortable as the relationship develops, as an emotional bond starts to form between you. There is a strong tendency to avoid people with a North Node in 7th house. However, this is not where you can grow, and it often happens that no matter what you do, life puts you into situations where you simply have to be more social and interact with people. Because yeah, that's all that Libra, right? Like having a real balance between the relationships that you have with yourself and everyone around you. So that, my friends, is the 7th house. That's what I have for you. So I would encourage you to go to the beginning of the video now to watch whatever zodiac placement it is that you came for the tarot card, the divinated part of this reading. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hello and welcome to your 6th house placement information session. So I do want to, before I get into it, I do want to thank advancedastrology.com because that is the website that I used almost exclusively for the information that I am about to impart upon you. And I do have my iPad here. Why am I saying all this? You know what? It's because this is 6th house. You're coming from the 12th house. You're all mystical. Why do you have notes, Cindy? Because that's where you're going, honey. Going with this shit. I do have notes because there's a lot here. So, yeah, I said everything I wanted to say, I think, right? Yeah, okay. The 6th house. The North Node in the 6th house suggests that in the past, you were drawn to the mystical side of life, sometimes replacing reality with dreams and fantasies. You possess an innate talent for spirituality, helping others, service, and you can easily tap into the creativity of the subconscious mind. If the rest of the birth chart reinforces it, your intuitive side is very strong with the South Node in 12th house. In this lifetime, your soul wants to create order, right? I'm telling you why I have notes here, and channelize the creative flow and the structure of your daily routines. By paying attention to details and being more organized, you are able to use the transcendental qualities of the 12th house in a way that helps both others and yourself. So we're going to talk about this one. Actually, yeah, we talk about the 12th house here. We talk about all your South nodes for all of these placements because it is a step that you're standing on to walk and take a step up to your North node. So you've mastered the 12th house. With the South node in the 12th house, you have a lot of dreams, but you don't have the routines to turn the dreams into reality. You enjoy the realm of fantasy and imagination, and you navigate in this domain like at home. The dilemma between dreams and reality is very strong in the North Node in 6th house. However, this placement suggests that it is the 6th house, the house of reality, that you should prefer. It hurts, doesn't it? I'm saying that too because I got like 4 or 5 planets in the 12th house. I mean, it's not to do with the North Node, but, you know, reality sucks. The things going on in my head are much better. Well, that's the part about pushing out of your comfort zone. Focusing on this house leads you to your purpose. The more organized, strategic, detailed you are, the more fulfilled you will feel with this position of the lunar nodes in the natal chart. You enjoy solitude and being on your own. You are very introspective and need to spend time alone. There is nothing wrong with this when done in moderation. However, there is a tendency to quit if things are not running smoothly, whether in a relationship or in your professional life, and retreat from the world. The North Node in 6th house also suggests that you are prone to escapism. Running away doesn't serve you anymore. North Node and 6th house people can easily get stuck in dreamland. In the past, there was a tendency to favor the mystical world of dreams, to paying attention to details and working diligently on a day-to-day basis. You are very familiar with chaos, and now your soul wants to create order. With the North Node in the 6th house in your natal chart, your soul wants to learn to take responsibility for your actions and learn to be the master of your own ship. That's funny. Yeah, because this is so familiar because I did 12th house. I started with 12th house in this group of readings. And I think it'd be kind of interesting for people to know, like, to really bond with people that are like, for you, if you're coming from the 12th house and trying to master the 6th, right? Get to know people that have mastered the 6th and trying to master the 12th. Because I think I told something similar to them. I said something very similar to them. The 12th house is the most mystical house. Its transcendental qualities are detached from the everyday reality. In the past, you were used to being away both physically and mentally. This placement suggests hardship, standing up for yourself. There was a tendency in your past to just drift and see where the flow will take you. However, in this lifetime, you need to develop an analytical approach to life. Make a plan, find out how to execute it, and do the work. This placement suggests that in the past, you were prone to being the victim of others. You easily give away your power, but this makes you feel drowned. It is necessary for you to learn to rely on yourself in the first place. You cannot surrender anymore. There is no more room for growth in this place. Inaction is something you need to leave behind with a North Node in 6th house. Wow. That feels like a challenge. But that's what I have. So that's what I have for you. So yeah, it's funny how some of these I relate to them just because of my own placements, not like I can kind of see how you would feel this in your life. Because yeah, I have a lot of placements in the 12th house, a lot of planets. So it's like you just naturally slip into that. And the real world just seems like so much bullshit. But that's what you gotta do. I'm just relaying the information, my friends. So that's what I have for you for the 6th house North Node. So now you can go to the beginning of the video and watch the astrological video that you've come to based on that for yourself. So thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hi, and welcome to your 5th house information session. So my friends, the 5th house, I'm going to be able to relate to you guys a lot. Well, because this is the opposite of me. You guys are 5th house for your North Node, and you are 11th house for the South Node, and I'm the opposite of that. So I'm trying to master what you've already mastered, and you're trying to master what I've already mastered. And it's funny I would say that, because I was just mentioning in the house placement I did before this one, that wouldn't it be interesting to get to know people really well, that like you're the opposite like that, so you kind of help each other out. I think that would be cool. So here we are together, huh? So I do want to say, before I really get into it, I want to thank advancedastrology.com. Yeah, I should say too, like, this is not, I'm not getting paid for that, to say that. They were just really useful, and I credit where credit is due. Their website was great for me to be able to develop this. So North Node, 5th house. The North Node in the 5th house suggests that you have to learn to be yourself. Self-expression is key with this placement. In the past, you preferred to be part of a group instead to as expressing yourself as an individual. But now it is time to shine and learn to be who you really are. There are a few key concepts with the North Node in 5th house. People with this placement tend to be afraid of expressing themselves. This placement can indicate anxiety related to being judged by others. So you have mastered the 11th house. Touché for you. I'm still working on that. In the past, you often came across as detached and reserved. Oh, that's all I have to do then. Call her a bitch. No, I'm sorry. You let few people really close to you. You had a lot of contacts and acquaintances, but few close friends. Some people with the North Node in 5th house feel lonely, even though they are surrounded with people. This placement suggests an impersonal attitude that lacks the warmth of Leo in the Sun. You can grow as a person by developing a positive, more emotional, warm-hearted attitude. You tend to stifle your personality with the North Node in 5th house. The North Node in 5th house also means that your South Node is placed in the 11th house. The 11th house is the house of large groups of people and circles of friends. With the South Node here, you have no problem fitting in a group. And I want to stop there and say as well, like, fitting in this group is almost too, like, perhaps even self-sacrificing your own notoriety, or being acknowledged for your ideas, because it's for the better cause. It's for the greater good of everyone. So it's okay if I don't get that acknowledgement, right? People with the North Node in the 5th house are often afraid of being judged. You choose to not make choices, just do what the group wants. Many people with this placement are afraid of standing up for themselves and prioritizing their own wishes. You are easy to downvote in a group of friends. Oh yeah. Oh, you are easy to downvote in a group of friends. Wow. Yeah, so yeah. So if you had a group of friends and they were kind of voting on what, maybe it's an important vote. It's not necessarily about, well, no, let's say, I was going to say, like, let's say it's a restaurant where you're going to go to eat. Maybe you're vegan, okay? So, or even like you have some sort of dietary restriction that could really upset your stomach, like just throw you off for days or weeks if you eat there. And they all vote, and like, let's say in this group of friends, like 70 or 80% of them all want to go over here, and the smaller minority wants to go over there. Going over there would be so much better for you, because there's a lot of options of what you could eat. Going over here, you're going to end up eating shit that's going to screw you up for like days or weeks. The majority of them are going to be much happier over there, and I don't want to upset the majority of the group, right? Like, so that's a bit of self-sacrifice, because the 5th house would say, I can't eat there. You know what? You all can eat where I'm going to eat. You can't eat there. Reclaiming your individuality is key with the North Node in the 5th house. You also want to embrace your creative side. Any form of creativity, self-expression is very beneficial with the North Node in the 5th house. I want to say too, like, and if you're kind of early on trying to master this house placement, maybe you're not finding yourself particularly comfortable with being creative, or you might think, well, people are going to think my artwork sucks, or people are going to think my poem is dumb. Who cares? You just put it out there, put it out there, put it out there. Do it. It's good for you. Whether you enjoy painting, acting, arts and crafts, literature, dance, cooking, creative self-expression is one of the best things you can do. This placement suggests that in the past you're afraid of being different than your peers. Now it's time to be who you really are. Oh, that means I have to be just like my peers. Oh, it sucks. Because I'm reading this in reverse. See, it's not easy to go to your North Node. I'm quite happy in the fifth house, but I can't be there anymore. So, and you guys can't be in the 11th house anymore. You gotta work towards that fifth house, my friends. So that's what I have for you guys for your North Node house placement information session. So yeah, you can go to the beginning of this video now and go to the point where we actually start doing the divination for whatever astrological sign it is that you happen to come to. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hello, a fourth house North Node placement friends. So here we are. This is your information session on your house placement for this. I do want to say a thank you to advancedastrology.com because I use that website almost exclusively for the information that I created in this. And kudos where kudos is due. So yeah, I'm not getting paid for that. Yeah, I use them, so I'm going to say. So, my fourth house friends, with the North Node in the fourth house, there is a strong pull towards spending your energy in your career and professional life. In the past, this is what you did and what you have already learned. However, this is not where growth can happen in the present and in the future. You've mastered the 10th house, right? And that's all about like career and how the community sees you. If you have your North Node in the fourth house in your natal chart, this also means that your South Node lies in the 10th house. The lunar nodes are directly opposite each other. The 10th house in the house of career, professional life, ambition, public reputation. It is the natural house of Capricorn. The South Node here suggests that in the past, you were concerned with responsibility. You took things very seriously. You were focused on hard work, and perhaps you left little time for your loved ones or for having fun. Now, I want to say, just kind of deviating from what I have written here, just like what's being described here. Now, this is for like masculines, feminines, or anybody really, because anybody can take maternity leave. Like that, I think that would be a really good example of someone who's like worked on their career through the early part of their life. And then even as a guy, like you could end up marrying somebody or being with someone, or you could be, you could have same-sex couples or whatever. But you worked a lot on your career because it was really natural for you. You knew your path, you knew how to do it, you know how to advance, and then you ended up having a family. And let's just say the most practical thing was for you to stay home and raise the kids, get the kids to school. And oh, this doesn't feel natural. I'm not doing this very naturally. Because it's almost like your North Node saying, haha, this is where it's this more focus on family and others and nurturing. Control is very important to you. The North Node in fourth, and you can't control kids and all that shit. It can be very frustrating. The North Node in fourth house is a classic placement of a control freak. There's a tendency to want to control everything and everyone. What can cause you trouble in your family life? Unless other placements in the chart compensate for this. So you're not a Hitler. You don't have to be. Your emotional side can be underdeveloped with the North Node in fourth house. In the present, you can grow by listening to your intuition instead of relying on structures and rules. Authority is another important question in this placement. In the past, you're often an authority person. So when they say past, too, they're talking about your past lives. Like, you've mastered this shit. You know how to do it, man. You know how to step up and tell everybody what to do because you can get it all in order. You can do that. So you were often an authority person who was used to being in the position of power and control. It is very hard for you to accept that you can't control everything, but this is exactly what you need to learn in order to level up on your spiritual journey. The South Node in 10th house can indicate a domineering, emotionally detached person. People with this placement have a strong drive to accomplish great things. You are very ambitious, and you are used to being ambitious and shooting for the stars. This is not to say that you should stop having great goals, but rather to approach them in a more intuitive way. In the past, you were oriented on your career, and there is a tendency to, when things go wrong, require effort in your private life, go back to your office and keep working. The North Node in the 4th house and the South Node in the 10th house can indicate a workaholic. Work and responsibility can take up a numbing role in your life, even turning into escapism. So even there, like that could even just be saying, no, I'm not going to stay with the kids, or I'm not going to be available to go watch the play, the grade 4 play, or, you know, like, I'm going to go work, or, you know, that the kids have been like a nightmare. I'm saying that because it's 4th house. It's like your home. Could be your parents too. Looking after your parents as they get elderly, finding other siblings to do that so you can go to work. While you very often excel at your career, I actually saw an Excel spreadsheet when I said that, it is not what life is supposed to be only about. The North Node in the 4th house suggests that there is no more room for growth in this direction. And really, that's kind of the thing for everybody's North Node. There's no more room for growth in that direction. You're just, no. The 4th house is also a parental house in astrology. So yeah, actually I mentioned parents. The North Node in 4th house is often a sign that one of your parents had high expectations for you. They wanted you to do your absolute best. This parent probably envisioned a very bright future for you, and they sometimes didn't care about your emotions, only about accomplishments. Well, that's really interesting. That's a very personal side that comes into that. So that's something that, you know, you could have been, why was I achieving? Because of that, like that parent was almost like pushing your South Node. And in a way, that's your own souls lining up in this lifetime to say, you know what, if that happens enough, it might push me a little more towards my North Node. So that is what I have here for you in the 4th house. So it's quite interesting, my dear friends. So yeah, so that's what I got. So you can go to the beginning of the video now, and you can watch whatever zodiac that you've happened to come to, and now you can apply it kind of in this way with this bit of knowledge. So thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hi, and welcome to your, what is, done so many of them at this point. 3rd house North Node. So 3rd house North Node information session. Before I get into it, I just want to do a quick thank you to advancedastrology.com. I'm not getting paid for that. I just really utilized the website a lot for this research. It was really, really informative. But of course, this is not everything that there is. So feel free to explore it even more for yourselves. I try to condense it as much as possible. With as much information as possible. So, having said that, let's get started. My 3rd house, North Nodes. With a North Node in the 3rd house, the main focus is on connecting with others. The 3rd house is the house of communication and learning, the house of Gemini in a natural chart. The North Node in the 3rd house suggests that you have to change your focus. Now it is time to get to know your immediate surroundings and prioritize hands-on learning. So yeah, so this actually feels like someone going who would have felt very natural with like a much higher education, perhaps even specialized, like a biomechanical engineer or chemical engineer, you know, like, and maybe you've traveled to different countries utilizing that information. Like that's big, right, and expansive, and it's very specialized even. Whereas I kind of think of like Sagittarius as more like university and broad degrees and travel, and then like Gemini, like with the house, and that's like what we're kind of talking here, is more like high school learning, college, maybe to like entrepreneurships, like being like sort of going from a master of something to the master of nothing and knowing a whole lot of shit about a lot of little things. So it's kind of an interesting, it might make you feel small, actually. I think it might make you feel small, but let's see what the rest of this says. Yes, you know, okay. In astrology, the 3rd house is connected with learning, the thinking process, and connecting with others. In a nutshell, this is what you need to work on with the North Node in the 3rd house in your natal chart. So people, you know, like it could be small town stuff too, compared to like bigger and broader things, like more worldly things. This actually has the feeling, you are my George Baileys. You all are my George Baileys. Yes, that's exactly what this placement is. Oh, God, but it's so changing. God, the things that you can change in this lifetime. Oh, this is kind of profound. I haven't had anything like this come in the entire house placements yet. But that's from It's a Wonderful Life. George Bailey, he had all these, he was going to get a great education. Actually, he was. I think he was going to be a bridge engineer or something. He never got that education. He ended up giving education money to his sibling, his brother. He stayed in the small town, took over his dad's business, because if he didn't do it, the bank was going to do it, and people were going to have shitty homes. Like, he did so much in the community. Y'all are George Bailey. I love that. All right. Mastered the 9th house. In the past, you were very focused on finding your purpose and your beliefs. And that means like past lives. Could have even been early on in your life. You were absorbed in ideas and you often forgot about practice. Your eyes were so fixed on the end destination of the journey that you forgot to make a move and start going in the direction where you want to go. The North Node here means that your South Node is in the 9th house. The lunar nodes are exactly opposite each other in the chart. In the past, you were so focused on ideas that you forgot about the people around you. God, that's so George Bailey. In this lifetime, you have to learn to see people surrounding you too, and learn to work with the people around you, and not just work, but also engage in small talk and have fun. Some people have to go on a long journey to find their purpose, but in your case, it is right under your nose. Oh yeah. I want this placement. But you guys are like probably like, oh. The North Node in the 3rd house suggests that in the past, you spent a lot of time searching for meaning and wisdom. This can also mean your past in this life and your past lives. You enjoyed reading, spirituality, philosophy, education, everything that could get you closer to understanding the world and your role in it. You have already mastered this in the past. And at this time, you could have sacrificed connections with others. In this life area, you are underdeveloped, and in this lifetime, you are given the opportunity to learn through exchanging ideas with others. In the past, you were so focused on your vision that you forgot about the details with the North Node in the 3rd house. A natal North Node in the 3rd house suggests that you have to learn that the devil is in the details. There is a tendency to forget about execution. The North Node in the 3rd house suggests that actions are just as important, if not even more important. You love to research and think about ideas, but you probably procrastinate too much. The North Node in the 3rd house also suggests that you need to develop some skills. Well, don't we all? The sign of the North Node and the chart as a whole reveals more information about this, but you can find working on your skills very fulfilling. With the North Node here, it is possible that you overlooked the importance of technical skills in the past. In this lifetime, you need to prefer the concrete mind to the abstract mind. Again, it's almost like imagining someone who in the past, you might have been building bridges on paper with math, with whatever kind of math you use for that shit. But in this lifetime, you were building the bridge. Communication and writing are very important with this placement. You can develop as a person a lot through writing and journaling. Some people with the nodes here have a natural affinity for learning languages. The North Node in the 3rd house suggests that interacting with others can help you grow. Some people with this placement have poor social skills. Don't worry about that. That's been said to a couple of people. So it can happen that you are so absorbed in your inner world that you forget about others around you. Needless to say, this leaves little room for your social skills to develop. At the same time, connecting with others is the direction you want to go. Staying in the same place for a long time can feel suffocating for the North Node in the 3rd house people. From time to time, you have a strong desire to get away and explore the world. However, this can turn into a form of escapism. There is a difference between taking a break and running away, and the North Node in the 3rd house suggests that the second one is a very attractive option to you. So there you go. Yeah. And I'm just, there's something coming in here with that. It's even like George Bailey. I don't know. If you guys haven't watched It's a Wonderful Life, I just feel like it's your placement here. It just really, really is. And then he finds that North Node at the end and he loves it. It's just like, wow, look what I have and look what I've created in this life. So there we go. That's what you guys have for the 3rd house placement for your North Node. Thank you so much. You can go to the beginning of the video now So for whatever astrological North Node this happens to be that you came to. And yeah, thanks so much, guys. Bye. Hello, North Node, second house friends. Welcome to your information session. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you to advancedastrology.com. I'm not getting paid for that. I just really utilize their website a lot, so I want to give credit where credit is due. Yeah, so let's get started. Second house. So this is funny because now I'm thinking, you know what? Oh, maybe it's a little bit opposite. Like, you know, your North Node is the second house, but your South Node is the 8th house. This one's really sexual. So maybe you are, maybe you're not. Maybe you've mastered, you're starting to master your North Node. But even Taurus, the second house is a little bit, yeah. Okay, so the key themes of this placement are building up self-confidence, becoming self-reliant, focusing on the physical world, and learning to be present in the moment. The North Node in the second house suggests that the questions of self-worth, self-esteem, being self-reliant come to the front. People with this placement often struggle with a sense of insecurity. This can become important both as in financial security, but also on an emotional and spiritual level. You're also insecure about what you find valuable. I just want to stop right there. I just want to say, like, that whole, you maybe at least early on in life, and like there's going to be a gradient here depending how many lifetimes you've been working on perfecting this North Node and coming away from this South Node. But with that said right there, I'm really getting a bit of a message about like codependency, like early on in life, kind of leaning into even using sex to get certain things that, you know, make you feel, boost up your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your self-worth. Okay, so anyways, let's keep going. So you've mastered the 8th house. With the North Node in the second house in the natal chart, you have your South Node in the 8th house. This placement suggests that you have mastered the life areas connected with the 8th house, and it is now time to focus on the second house in this lifetime. The 8th house is a mysterious, intense house where deep transformation, alchemy, and trauma happen. I mean, I just want to say right there too, I think that is one of the harder houses to master. So you guys mastered that? That is hard. That is a hard house to master. This house is connected with other people's money, secret investigations, sex, near-death experiences. It is the opposite of the sober and steady second house. With the nodal axis here, these houses become more emphasized in your natal chart. With the North Node in second house and the South Node in the 8th, it can happen that you have some secrets in the past. These secrets can be quite dark, and they are often an important influence in your life. Even though most people don't notice it, sometimes it stays hidden even from you. Resolving these issues can be helpful because, as they say, you are only as sick as your secrets. Oh, the North Node in second house suggests that it is time to move away from these secrets and create a new reality. The second house in this house of values, the second house in this house of values. So, right, like that's what Taurus is. The second house. When the North Node is in the second house, you need to create your own value system. You are often uncertain about this topic, looking to others to find out what they find valuable. The North Node in second house usually needs time to find out what is important to you. So, you know, again, like, don't be hard on yourself if you've been struggling with this. It's normal, natural. With a North Node in second house, you can be too vulnerable to the opinion of other people. You define your self-worth based on them. Learning to base your opinion about yourself on your own worth is one of the most important life lessons of this placement in the natal chart. In the North Node in the second house suggests that in the past, you might have used the life strategy of relying on others. You could easily get help, and you attracted things to you naturally. This placement suggests that you have to learn to provide for yourself in this lifetime. The North Node in the second house can also indicate traumatic experiences in the past, I would imagine. Perhaps you lost your partner, or there were some other sudden losses in your life. These events force you to leave your comfort zone. This placement suggests that you have to find your strength in yourself in the first place. The author does say that a lot, in the first place. Trust issues and power struggles could also be part of your past, but they don't serve you anymore. Sex and intimacy are often important when the nodal axis is placed in the 2nd house and the 8th house. The North Node in 2nd house suggests that in the past you used sexuality as a means to get what you want. Oh, so I sense that. I didn't read through all of the, like, well, I skimmed because there was so much here. I got like paragraphs and paragraphs, baby. Yeah, I sense that. Sexual as a means to get what you want. With this placement, you often possess a lot of sexual power. You are very charismatic and other people are drawn to you. You can easily get benefits in exchange for sex. If there are other indicators in the chart, this placement can even indicate prostitution. Well, no, everybody goes their own way. So that's interesting. This is a really interesting. It kind of intrigues me a bit because my Lilith is in Scorpio. So I'm like, oh, you guys are so interesting. But yeah, so that's what you got there for the 2nd house placement and what you've actually mastered with your South Node here. So you can go to the beginning of the video now for whatever astrological placement you actually came to for your reading. And you can go see that now and kind of have this backup knowledge with you for that. So thank you so much, guys. Bye. Welcome, 1st house North Node. Oh, here we are, the last one. Before I get started, I do want to thank, I have for each one, as y'all go to timestamp so everyone hears it. I do want to thank advancedastrology.com. I'm not getting paid for that or anything like that. I just use their website almost exclusively. And so it was really helpful in composing all of this and putting it together. So I want to give credit where credit is due. And now, my friends, the 1st house, let's get started. With this placement, the most important thing is to develop a sense of self and learn to exist on your own without relying on a partner to define you. This is not to say that you should be on your own, not at all. But you should focus on creating your own identity and learn to set boundaries. With the North Node in 1st house, your relationships tend to drastically improve once you learn to be independent. We'll get to your other lessons below. I think there's a lot in this one. I remember that thing. Oh God, it's the last one in so many. In a nutshell, this position suggests that you should build a strong identity. In the past, you were prone to defining yourself in relation to other people. This placement in the birth chart asks you to find out who you are as a separate person. So your North Node is the 1st house, which means your South Node is the 7th house, and that's the house that you've mastered. So that's your stepping stone, right? It's the area, it's the step that you stand on that feels comfortable and familiar. It's easy to navigate, but again, you're taking a step 1 foot off onto the North Node. With the North Node in the 1st house, you pay too much attention to other people's opinions and what they want you to do. You are eager to please and you prioritize harmony in a relationship. At the same time, it is important to be aware of how this makes you feel. There are times when you want to help or listen to someone else, and there is nothing wrong with that. However, this should make you feel fulfilled and happy, giving from a place of love. With the North Node in the 1st house, this is not always the case. You prioritize the other person, even if it makes you feel bad. When you feel frustrated and taken advantage of, you probably wandered back into the domain of the South Node. Being aware of this emotion and learning to recognize it can help you a lot. I kind of like this one because there's a lot of little pointers in it about, you know, when this happens, when you feel this way in the situation, it's an indication that you were not stepping into your North Node at some point before that situation or feeling started to occur. And that's really helpful to be able to like, oh, wow, yeah. You also need to let go of the abandonment issues and clinginess so common with this placement. The South Node in 7th house suggests a tendency for feeling worthless if your partner leaves you, which can lead to staying stuck in dysfunctional partnerships. Loneliness is often a recurring pattern in the lives of the North Node in the 1st house people. With the North Node in 1st house, the question of identity and independence comes to the front. Your identity is often tied to other people. In the past, you learn to focus on others, what they want and need, what are their expectations of you, how they want you to behave, and what actions they want you to take. I mean, if you think about it, okay, just saying, 1st house, Aries, I'm an Aries. So If you're pleasing everybody, you're not pleasing anyone, and you're not pleasing yourself. So I really get that from that last little bit that I read. The North Node in the first house also suggests that in the past you were too dependent on people close to you. In this lifetime, you have to learn to be independent. This is one of the key life lessons for you now. The need to be an individual is often suppressed with this placement in the native chart. For example, you might agree to do something even if it's not what you would actually like to do, just to please your partner. Or anybody, really, whatever that partner could be, parent, sibling, friend, business partner. It is hard for you to know who you are. It often happens that you have to face challenges in life where you can learn how strong you are, and they can help you find your own power. Being self-reliant is important with the North Node in the first house. With a North Node here, issues related to self-confidence are also likely. People with this placement often suffer with low self-esteem. Learning that you are capable and that you can trust yourself is part of your soul's mission in this lifetime. It is unfamiliar to you to meet your own needs first. For that matter, it might not be easy even to recognize your actual needs. Yeah, so again, like that to me, like little statements like that seem so profound. Like if it's something that you're struggling with, I'm not crazy. It's like my planets, man. Yeah. Whenever I say that, I think of Jessica Rabbit. What did she say? I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way. It's kind of like saying, I'm not bad, my planets are just aligned that way. I'm not crazy, it's my planets. When the North Node is placed in the 4th house, the South Node is in the 7th. As they are opposite each other, we get that. Your past self used the strategy of the sign Libra, but it is time to explore the zodiac sign Aries now. For you, the real growth lies in replacing the balance-seeking cooperativeness of Libra with the boldness of Aries. The 1st house is all about you. It is literally like whenever you're balancing relationships, finally putting you on the scale and taking that into account. The 1st house is all about you, and this is what you should focus on in the future, no matter if it is hard and foreign territory. At the same time, this tendency can make relationships hard for you. You might feel that you give everything and you get nothing in return. You spend a lot of time and energy doing your best to be there for your partner. The North Node in the 1st house suggests that you make sacrifices more often than your partner or other people you are in a relationship with, such as your friends and business partners. It can happen that this can make your partner feel bad too. They often don't ask you to do it or to give up on your needs, but this behavior is so natural to you that you are not even aware of this tendency. It can happen that you choose partners who are selfish in one way or another. Needless to say, this leads to even more frustration. Right? Because it's almost like if you're with a selfish person, they're going to let you know right away what their needs are. I don't want to do that. This is what I like. I don't know. They don't even ask about you. But because you're coming from a place where you're so used to serving other people's needs, well, it's so easy for me to identify what their needs are because they just kind of make it obvious. And again, that's not, well, what do you want? What do you feel? It can happen that you choose partners, needless to say, this leads to even more frustration. When young and not aware of this placement, you are often attracted to partners who can be domineering or even straightforward tyrannical. Creating and maintaining balance is hard with the North Node in 1st house. You are used to fulfilling the needs of other people and making sure that they are happy, to the extent where you feel like a doormat. This is not only the case in romantic relationships, you also give in too easily in friendships or in business partnerships. With this placement, you have to learn to set boundaries. It's simply a must for you. Some people have to learn to be more cooperative, but this is not true for North Node in the 1st house people. You need to stand up for you, honey. Your relationships will improve once you learn to set emotional boundaries and find your center in yourself. Once you learn how to say no from a place of love and peace, things get better in this life area. And that's it. That's what I have. Y'all can do it. Y'all can do it. I just, this one, actually, it's funny. It was the last one and it had the most information. So there you go. It's kind of funny when you say that it's the last one because the nodes work in reverse. So some way I kind of wonder, like, if you're all getting close to like completing an incarnation period on Earth here with that. And, you know, the last step here is really, you can't leave Earth till you understand you, right? So, yeah. All right. That's what I have for y'all. Thank you so much, guys. Oh, wait. So now you go and watch your zodiac reading, right? So that you can apply it. you can apply this information to that at the beginning of this video that you came to. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Well, hello, North Node Aries. Here we are. We finally got to you. Isn't that exciting? It's great. No. And may I say that you have come to the right place, my friends, because I am an Aries. And my Mercury is in Aries. So I'll tell you everything you need to know about this. And see, look, I'm already talking about myself in your reading. That's your message. That's one of the things you need to start doing. This is such an interesting placement for me. And I have actually a lot of friends that are Librans and have over the years, and we do complement each other really, really well. And that's what I think I think actually Aries and Libra are one of those that you can really look at how the complementary energy works with it, because it's literally going from a point with your South Node being South Node Libra to really cooperating with others. Not to say that Aries don't cooperate, but really cooperating with others, really focusing on the needs of the group and trying to keep everything in balance. But you know, you can kind of take that to the extreme with Libra, and I always point my Libra friends out to that, like, you are letting people take advantage of you. And that is a big lesson in this. And one of the interesting things that I've kind of read about this placement, because I kind of do a little bit of research in each one before I come into them, was that, and this, I don't know, it really jumped out at me. So I don't know if this is like an obvious point to you, or this might make a lot of sense for you in your journey with this placement, is that when you feel like you're under pressure or something kind of gets a little bit heated, a situation, that's when you have a tendency, or you can have a tendency to allow people to walk on your boundaries, because you would rather do that, or it's more natural to allow that to happen than to assert yourself, and being afraid that asserting yourself is perhaps causing some sort of conflict. Now, here's the interesting thing. As an Aries, like, this is one way that I look at it too. If you feel like asserting your boundaries is being too assertive or mean, but then you're kind of lost in life thinking like, why do people keep walking over my boundaries? Because part of Libra is like just naturally having this balance and respecting other people's boundaries. I love that. And my Libra friends are like, you're so amazing. It's just like they're so good at respecting other people's boundaries. So you assume that other people will. So here's the thing. It's not that other people aren't respecting your boundaries. It's that you haven't defined it. So they think that they are. They think that you're fine with that. That's literally what it is. Because like someone like me too, I would come in, I would tell you right up what I think is going on. Like, you know what? That person's really taking advantage of you. You should have... And I mean, if I knew you, as a friend, I would be like right open and like really tell you. I wouldn't be that friend that says, you know what, they're just having a bad day, and maybe they're just, it's not about you, it's about them. You know, just don't worry about it. And no, you need to like set a boundary here. But you might think like, Cindy, I really don't need your advice, but you wouldn't tell me that, because you were like, let's just let Cindy think that she feels important by giving me this information. But it seems like every time I run into a situation, she doesn't let me resolve it on my own. She just has to step in and start telling me what she thinks and what she's observing from her perspective. Like, you know, like, right? Totally. Tell me. So, but then I understand the boundary, because if you don't go in there and place the boundary and be very specific about it, and you don't see, this is a great thing too, because you don't have to be Mars about it, because you still have all this Venus energy coming from Libra. So, oh God, yeah, isn't this great? Like, you are Venus into Mars. If you come into that middle where you've got all this balance from your South Node, and you've learned these lessons and you know how to incorporate them in a healthy way, and then you're kind of learning the lessons and projecting yourself into the energy of your North Node, Aries and Mars, you can have this assertiveness, but still be really like kind and balanced and even with it. Like, you can be predictable, like a hot-head fire sign. Like, what's going on? Stop it! So yeah, I'm gonna have fun in this one. This has been a long journey doing these, and I kind of like that we're ending North Node Aries. I feel very comfortable in this to do this for you. So yeah, the boundaries are a big. big thing for you guys. And I hope that made sense, that, you know, if you've contemplated that, like, what is wrong with people? It's obvious what boundaries should be, and why don't they respect that? Because you haven't really just come out and say, listen, that's my boundary and you've crossed it and I really don't want you to do that again. And you can either do that, vocalize it, or you can just make it known. You just don't engage anymore. Sorry, bye. And you're out of there. Because then you create the boundary and they start to understand. Otherwise, when you always let people step on your boundaries, they think that's what your boundary is. We're like, okay, Libra's easy to walk all over, and some of them are. Some of them are. So I'm going to get into your reading. I'm going to use my Angel Aries. I'm just looking here because of the book. It helps me remembers. Angel Aries deck. What's at the bottom here? The pre-shuffle. Dreams. Angel of Dreams. The angel of your dreams. Well, that's really interesting. I'm kind of hearing like you could be the angel of your own dreams. You can be divine. Maybe there's something about that too. Like thinking like, you know, being really strong with my boundaries is it not really exercising divine balance? Yes, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. Because the angels are stepping in all the time when energy has gone right wrong. Like, oh, geez, that's not good. We need to step in and create a boundary, even an energetic boundary. So actually, even before I get into the deck, let's just also continue to talk about creating more of an independence and a more awareness of self. I think because because that's also like what Aries is all about, is of the self. So once you start to understand, you see, that might even be part of the boundary discovery for you, is really understanding yourself, because you can get lost in the group. I'm hearing like the group psychosis, like the group mind, when you're in Libra trying to keep everybody balanced and kind of fit into that. So you're kind of pulling away from that. Even it feels a little bit too like going from like, which is funny, which is actually my placement, is going from a Leo, or actually no, going from Aquarius to a Leo energy, where you're kind of like in the group, working with the group. It's okay if you're not shining outside of the group because you're doing the betterment of the group. But then like going into that Leo energy, it's like, you know, step out, be an individual here, shine brightly, be the leader that no one else is being over here. That's a little bit of that energy too, because Aries definitely will take the lead. So instead of waiting for someone else to make the right decision in a group, you will probably find yourself as you get older and older being in circumstances and different situations in life where you can see that there's leadership needed here and nobody seems to be stepping up to it. And you might feel, am I crossing a boundary to do that? No, you're defining a boundary. So start looking at it like that. Am I crossing a boundary? No, you're defining a boundary. That's what you're doing. And in that boundary definition, I feel like you're also defining who the self is. That's what you're kind of meant to find here. And once you start to be able to define who the self is and you understand who that is, you can draw boundaries around it to protect it, to nurture it, to grow it, to allow it to flourish. But also, like, don't, in any of our south nodes, and particularly this one, I would say, because if you just take Aries energy like all on, I mean, you're looking at the full-on narcissistic egomaniac asshole. I mean, it could go right, like crude, violent. It's Mars. I mean, if you just let it get out of control, it's not nice. It's not a nice energy. Really, no energy is nice, but Mars could be the most destructive. She's just burned everything down. Whatever, F off and go. Like, you know, it can be a pretty bad energy. So in this one in particular, all that stuff you've learned from that South Node, that's your tool belt of discovery. You know, it's to kind of keep you balanced. It's, right now you're a little too heavy on the Venus side, right? So you're trying to get a nice yin-yang going with Mars and Venus in here for you. I think it's actually a really beautiful placement because Mars and Venus are very opposite. So let's get started. Angel Aries deck, Energy Oracle deck, and my Wizard's Tarot. I'm going to, oh, what have I got here? Oh, I was doing a reading for myself, an energy check-in. See, I do that for myself. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Okay, yeah. It happened to be on the back of this, and I thought, oh, I'm going to do a little energy check-in for myself. Okay, so let's do that. That's how, yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to ask in this reading for your North Node Aries, I'm going to ask, what are you being asked to do? What you should embrace to activate this, and your next challenge. So I'm going to do that with these 3 decks that we have here. I will focus a little more on the South Node, but that's in the extended, and I'll talk about that at the end of the reading if that's something you're interested in. So we're going to get started right now with the Angelarium deck. I do have all the lights on. All right. My future fireball babies. That's what I call Aries. So if you've never been to an Aries reading before, that's what I call you. So my future North Node fireball babies. Let's see what we have here. And babies, because it is the first one in the zodiac. So it is all about self-discovery and stumbling along the way and learning to get up again. And I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. That is your new motto. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I am, I am, I am. What are you being asked to do? Left-hand judgment. Oh, wow. Look at this. Look at, okay, this Aries card, and look at this fire that's all around, like the base and the core. And then look at all the fire that's inside the core of this deity. Okay, it is, I'm really getting like a visual message from this. This is really, like, it's a little bit like a phoenix energy, I would describe it as. It is allowing, okay, it's allowing all the times you've ever felt like your boundaries have been crossed and taken advantage of. Okay, I guess you could do it because you've got some nice South Node balance here. It's to allow this anger to move inside of you. I'm getting this feeling like a lot of you suppress your anger about people that take advantage of you, or situations where you feel discounted or your feelings don't matter. So it's a really interesting message. There's something here about anger, to let it cycle through you, to let it start moving. And Mars would actually kind of control some of that. Because there could also be, like, I feel like the energy of Libra, if it becomes imbalanced and goes too far in that direction, it could become toxic positivity. Yeah, everything is okay. Everything is great. Everything is good. Everything is okay. It's like, oh my God. You know, your hair could be on fire. You could be standing in a pit of lava, and you might be somebody shoving shit up your mouth. Like, okay, okay. No, not okay. There's something here about what you're being asked to do is to kind of recycle through past emotions and feelings that you may have stuffed down about, and in points in time where you possibly should have stepped up and been a little more upset and created a boundary here for yourself. What you should embrace to activate this. Oh my goodness, that's cool. Sandalphone, Angel of New Life. I love it. It's a twin angel, and you would almost, I would even describe that in here, like, because Venus, we're talking about Venus and Mars, so they're already very very opposite, but they go together like peanut butter and jam, right? So there's 2 parts of yourself here, and one of them has been neglected, and obviously I feel like it's the North Node. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know if I'm in a group that is particularly just kind and sensitive, but again, it's not that the world, that most of the people, well, there are a lot of people. I'm not gonna give people a check mark for bad behavior. There are people that just, they cross boundaries, or they'll push your buttons to see if you have any boundaries and take advantage of it. There are people that do that. But a lot of people, if you're not establishing your boundaries, they figure that's what the boundary is, right? Like if it's kind of wishy-washy, they figure, well, you're just fine with that. So I really do feel like that there's something in particular about that in this reading, in this group that I'm reading for. And that this fiery energy, this anger, allow yourself to be angry. Process the anger. I was just thinking of someone I know who is an actual Libran. And I don't know if he would be mad. I've never seen him mad. I even pushed him into the water once. It's cold water. Did not get mad. I'm like, fuck this guy. When is it gonna take this guy set? Come on, man. Get mad. You've got to. I just feel like it will show up. Okay. It will show up, and I'm getting that too. Actually, it's funny because he has digestive issues. So it will show up in your body physically. Like anger, this suppression of the self hurts the soul. And when you hurt the soul, it communicates to you on a physical level because you're not listening to me spiritually. I'm going to talk to you physically. So you could end up with digestive issues. I'm just kind of going with what's here. It's below the respiratory. There is diaphragm. You might feel like a little hyperventilative if you feel like you're in a tense situation, or it's a situation where you're kind of being asked to assert yourself and you're not. You could get a little bit, oh, I'm feeling dizzy, I'm feeling flustered, I push it down. Like, so there's something there because it's diaphragm area and below. There's nothing below it, actually. You could feel weak in the legs. Like, you know, like I just don't feel like I can walk forward and do that right now. Yeah. There's an interesting message here about what the suppression of self really can do in this placement. So you've got to embrace both aspects of yourself. You have to allow yourself to be downright angry sometimes, and you can express it. Because not expressing it all the time, not expressing how you feel, that's too far on the one side here. So your next challenge, Angel of Visions. I think we have to pull out more cards and see where that's going. There is going to be something here. Your challenge is obviously to see something. How that comes to you, is this something that comes to you in a dream? Is it to see things for what they truly are in the physical as well? Is it to look at dream energy and look at the physical and find truth within those two avenues? The underline is ground the kingdom, Malkuth. That card really feels like, to me, like when you ground the kingdom, it's almost even, I would say, like magician energy. As it is above, so be it below. Like taking divinity and bringing it to earth. You see, I think part of the earthly experience is often we swing from one side to another, and it gets just absolutely ridiculous. And, you know, we seem to go like this, and it takes a long time to get balance in the middle on every aspect. It seems like just every aspect of life, like we do. Earth tends to, like, something is downright evil, that's it, get rid of it, blah, blah, blah. So like if you think about like paganism and sort of, I guess, even like witchcraft, but just like paganism has its roots in humanity's basic evolution through being like nomads and working with the earth. Like there's nothing bad about it. It's just understanding through evolution and through teaching your own offspring and passing on knowledge, like what plants are good and safe and healthy to eat. That's very holistic. It is being one with the world that you were born into. And I mean, that's kind of like what the roots of that are. But then at some point we said, wow, we've got all this better information about what is truly divine and what is light, and that is evil. So then you persecute everyone on that side, and then you go way over here. But then, so now let's look at, you get like the really Christian side is kind of going like, I didn't know Jesus had guns and shit, but apparently he did. But like, you see how you just like, where did we go? So, but I'm feeling that like ground divinity by not recognizing the power of Mars energy and the good it can do. You can become toxic positivity. Yeah, like, what is that saying? It also feels like that. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. I think every road to hell is absolutely paved with good intentions. You may create your own roads to hell by trying to pave it with good intentions. Well, I'm not going to tell that person that they really upset me about this, or I don't want to rock the boat, or I don't want the family reunion to go bad, or then I don't want Susie's wedding to feel uncomfortable. It's just, you can't keep this in. You cannot keep this in. You have got to start vocalizing it, because it's doing something to you spiritually if you are suppressing it a lot. And because your soul does not feel like you are listening spiritually, it's going to start talking to you physically, and that's going to come up in the body. So divinity, absolutely. Grounding divinity is also bringing in the energy of Mars. Because if people come at you with Mars energy, like, look at that too, right? Like, people come at you with Mars energy and you're always submissive, quiet about it. That gets, eventually there is no kindness left in the world, because the only thing that is surviving is harsh, ego-based aggression. You have to draw boundaries with that, because even that. But it's usually the more subtle stuff that gets through our boundaries. And then once someone gets through the boundaries, they're going to keep picking away at it until you tell them, hey, that's enough, leave that scab alone. I know, right? It's my Mercury in Aries. Just learn to... Okay, so let's see what else we have here. What are you being asked to do? The world. Wow, look at this. Wow, you have judgment in the world. Really, oh, you guys are really being asked strongly to complete something here and end it. And have a new beginning. I feel like the basis of your new beginning is defining self. Let's look at the first house. You, it says you and you only. I have here my little astrological house sheet. I keep that here. For certain readings, in this one I thought it would be good to do that, because Aries does rule the first house. Or the first house ruled by Aries, whatever that works. Your personality, your appearance, how others see you. Don't care. Don't care, right? I'm literally going into like what I would describe as... And because I feel like I have to, because I'm really getting the feeling like y'all are a little too heavy on your South Node in this placement. And I almost feel like I'm pushing my own Aries to a point where I normally don't push it. It is a little more aggressive, but it's like, well, you have to compensate. Maybe that's why we compensate. You got to get that boulder up over the hill. So don't care how others see you. Don't care. It's your path. You got to do it. Self. What you want, how you achieve it. I mean, right? It could be. Absolutely. Like, if this energy was not balanced, you could be like a really egotistical, narcissistic son of a bitch. Whenever I do Aries readings, there's often someone who comes in the comments and says, no, my ex was an Aries and he or she was... like, well, hey, there's bad energy in all signs. And it can be. It just can be really in your face, I think, with Aries, if it's out of balance. But gosh, you guys are really being asked to, I feel like, finalize something, end it, and have a new beginning. In this new beginning, allow yourself to be angry, allow yourself to be passionate, allow yourself to be driven, and own it and claim it and let it just feel good. If you feel good by being angry at things that have happened in the past, your soul is saying, yes, let's bring this up. Let's pull it out. Okay, what you should embrace to activate this. Action. Angel of new life. Action. Oh my God. Head to your new life, my friends. That's awesome. Oh, this is great. feels good. One of the other things I read about this is if some of you might be saying, no, Cindy, I don't feel like I'm that far down into my South Node. If you're like kind of working through this Aries North Node a little more successfully than what it seems to be like that I'm kind of articulating here, I did read that, like, if you have some strong placements in the first house, or your Aries is placed in a strong place, or your Mars is, like, things like that, it will be easier to navigate this. But if your astrological chart is kind of crickets, or it's not like the Aries or the Mars or the first house or things like that don't have strong placements, then it is the challenge. And I feel like that's kind of what I'm reading here. But look at what's behind them is all this flame, fire, passion, anger. Embrace it. Let it fuel you. It will push you to do things that nothing else can push you to do. And that's why Aries is the first. Because when that seed is under the ground and there's no hope, it's dark, the soil is heavy, fucking going up, and I don't care how long it takes, and I don't care how hard I have to push. I'm gonna do it, right? Coming out, and you're gonna do it. And then that seed comes up. And then it's up to Taurus energy to look after it and persevere and grow roots. But something's got to push through first. And that's what this is all about. You've got to push through, baby. I love this. I do this one all the time. Your next challenge, Angel of Visions. Oh, this is perfect. Rest and rejuvenation. Maybe, okay, finding balance in this. Okay, you're going to get visions. Maybe these visions could excite you. You might start seeing things completely differently once you start to engage in this energy and you allow it to flow through you. Depending on how you're processing things and what you're processing from the past, in terms of really feeling like boundaries that have been crossed, people that have taken advantage of you, and just kind of coming to the realization that, yeah, some people are jerks, and even if they see your boundary, they're going to see what they can do with it. But a lot of people, if you're not imposing your boundary strongly, think, well, that's your boundary. So I'm just going to keep working in that way. I guess this is a good relationship. I'm comfortable with it. You seem okay. So why would I change it? Right? Once you start kind of processing these things, some of you, I don't know if a punching bag or a favorite or non-favorite pillow, allow this to come out of you. Like, it does need a vehicle. It does need an outlet. Aries also do tend to be people that are kind of high energy. They're active. They're doing things. Because this energy needs to be harnessed in a way. And then I think, okay, so your next challenge is almost like coming down from this. But when you do, it is to really see things in a very different way, from a different polarity, a different perspective. It's very Hanged Man. Because you might start to realize, you know, once you've done something once or twice that you've never done before and you felt uncomfortable doing, all of a sudden you think to yourself, well, wait a second, that's a little bit easy. It's like that little kid that was always afraid to jump into the deep end at the pool, even though they knew they could swim. It's just the idea of plunging down and, will I come up again? The first time is the hardest. It is the hardest. And it could take a long time standing at the edge of the pool. It could take all summer. It could take 2 summers. But then you jump in. They jump in. Oh my God, I did it. They swim to the edge. Then they get back up onto the edge of the pool. And if you're anything like my son, you won't do it again for the rest of the summer. Or like he was. Maybe you'll do it again right away. Maybe you'll hesitate. Maybe you're going to take a moment. And I'm saying, like, there's something here that you initialize in the self. Maybe somebody invites you to do something, a family thing, and you're always expected to go because you always bring the best dip, or you always make sure that Cousin Farley and Uncle George don't argue with each other. So you're the mediator. It's important that you go there. And you're thinking, well, actually, I didn't really want to go to that family function because I really wanted to go to this, I don't know, kickboxing retreat. I'm not going to pick something like, you know, meditative, but maybe I wanted to go to this kickboxing retreat. I wanted to go to this. Maybe you find something. There's got to be things out there where it's like a healing retreat of some sort, but you're not like meditating. You're screaming. You're screaming. You're taking painting. Just like, You're letting it out. Tell them no. I've got plans for myself, and it's really important for me that I do this. I hope you all understand. I've been there for you before. You're going to be okay. I'm going to be a much better person. I'm going to feel so much better after I do this for myself. I don't know what it is, but there's something here. And it's almost like that first time you jump in the pool, in the deep end. And you're like, oh, I can't believe I just said that to my mom. I can't believe I just said that to my dad. And then you did it. You said it. And you're like, what the fuck is wrong with South Node Libra? What is their problem? Oh, you know, Harold, maybe you should talk to your daughter. What's wrong with her or your father? So maybe someone even talks to you about it. I don't know, because when you, like, this is like something's wrong with you. You don't normally behave this way. It's just what I'm doing for me. I'm taking a new initiative in my life. I'm trying to achieve my North Node. Just tell them that. Okay. And then something else comes up. You're going to do it. You're going to assert yourself, because if you are sacrificing yourself and your own well-being consistently for others, you're getting this. It just feels like you're burning your core. This will regrow. It will replenish. The soul will immediately stop communicating through the 3D and your body. And these areas will feel better again. So it is almost like once you jump in once, and then you have the guts to do it the second time, and you do it all day, jumping off. And then I feel like it's hard to get the kid out of the pool. Listen, no, we have to go. You got to do other things in life. Stop jumping in the pool. Because there's this intensity. And it is to come down and see things now after you've done it. The pool is not so scary. It's a different perspective. Yeah, it's like when you breathe that wind, and yeah, Aquarius is wind energy, so that could be, yeah, too much wind and you could blow this fire out. A strong, persistent wind, and it just keeps building and building and building. You just feed that fire. But just gently kind of like breathing on these flames. Keeping balance in yourself, no. But action. You're really, take action and something here. It feels like really close off this, a South Node for you. Really close off some element of a South Node and have your judgment. If you keep pushing your judgment down, I feel like you may, if you're not yet, experience kind of like odd physical ailments. Maybe suddenly you become sensitive to dairy, or suddenly this happens, or I don't know. But I do know that your soul will start talking to your body. And it's actually people that, because some people don't even hear the body. And I don't know if that has anything to do with being empathic. But like myself and a few other friends that I know we're very sensitive to our bodies, and we recognize right away when something isn't right. Whereas, and some people are like, God, I'm always aware of all these little things that happen in my body and doesn't feel right and this. And then, because there's other people that, I'm fine, I'm okay, I don't feel anything. And then all of a sudden they have like stage 4 cancer of some level, or it's literally often, it feels like an advantage. And it might not seem like it when you are sensitive to all these little feelings that you get in your body, and they can throw you off and they can change your plans. But it's actually a very fine-tuned system here where you're receiving information and you're getting it. Whereas other people, they're just, for whatever reason, they don't receive it, they don't feel it, they don't hear it. So it is important that you listen to your soul. Oh, healer of the ages. Yeah. It's very healing to allow flames. Yeah, baby. Fire. It is born through fire. If you think, what is the beauty too of fire? Like if you have a festering wound, I mean, don't go and do this. It's better to go to a doctor. But let's say you're lost in the woods and all you have is a campfire, and you can cauterize that puppy. It's gonna hurt like a son of a bitch. I've never done that, but you can cauterize it, And you've basically sealed it and burned away any of the bacteria, germs, virus. You give it a good cauterization. Keep it clean from that point on as it heals. It's, yeah, right? They might leave a scar, but you're okay. You're good to go. I'm a suck when it comes to pain and ailments. I really am. Sorry. Aries are big babies. We are big babies. Don't scare me with pain. Okay. I feel like really hot and sweaty and passionate. It's so funny. Whew. Actually, maybe it's a little much for me. I don't know. Maybe, I wonder if some of you are like, some of you, maybe you are Aries and you're North Node Aries. Whew. It's like a lot. So for those of you that maybe are, this is your next challenge, is to come down. Either way, it's coming down from this energy. Actually, after you feel it coursing through your veins and through your blood, you realize it's the initial spark that gives life to everything. Yeah, 7 of Cups. Ah, the Queen of Wands. That's what I'm talking about, baby. That's what I'm talking about. What are you being asked to do? Yeah. The Fool. Oh, you take this. Yes! 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 You have the 7 of Cups. I really don't know. I don't know. There's so many ways this could go. So many ways I could be. The Queen of Wands. That's the only thing you're being asked to do. That is Aries energy. Isn't that funny? And then the Fool, which is Aquarian energy. You do this like nobody's done it before. That's the you. That is you and you only. Your personality, your appearance, how others see you. You do it you. And you don't do it any other way. This is what's dying to burn through you. This has been suppressed in you. This is very expressive too. And it's just also because it's Queen. So I want to say it's yin energy. It is, oh, actually both of these have their arms open. Look at me. What you got to do. You don't have to justify it. I gotta get, like, you know, because it's, the king to me, it's kind of like, it's funny, right? Like, I feel like the kings are more present in the throne, but yet they do exhibit yang energy, like masculine. So this yin, it's always kind of like a conundrum. Like the yin of the queen. To me, the queen is more present in the community, and the king is dealing with, you know, what's going on in the court. But the yin, it will sit. It is open to receive. But because the boundary has been created and has been shown like what it is, nothing comes towards this. It really isn't meant for this energy. And it is almost kind of like showing you healed. Ah, right? Get rid of this burning feeling, these things from the past that cause ailments in you. That's a pretty simple way to describe it. Things from the past that cause ailments or have caused ailments for you. The best way to be you here is to do it. Perhaps you've never seen, perhaps there's a way that speaks to you, to be of yourself, that you've really never seen before. Oh, you should do that. You should absolutely do that. Because you have the Fool card here. It's Aquarian. It's like, well, nobody's done that before. Well, that's really different. But you know what? I know that by doing me in the most authentic way is the best thing for my higher good. And because it's the best thing for my higher good, it doesn't mean that I'm trying to push other people down to feel good about myself. So it means I'm also being the leader that I'm leading by example, which is very fiery energy, leading by example. And that also allows other people to recognize, hey, I can be different and I can be unique and I can be myself. And then we can all still come together in Aquarian energy or in Libran energy and respect each other. It's really beautiful. I love it, what you're being asked to do. So what you should embrace to activate this, Angel of New Life and Action. The World. There's something, you really need to close that off. Just close that shit off and move. Go forward. Knight of Swords. The Empress. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. This is exciting. I love this energy. This is a brand new day. If you know who you are, I mean, that's the biggest part of this. Know who you are, then you know how to create boundaries. Know who you are, you know how to draw new boundaries for yourself. You know how to dream new visions for yourself. You're really asked to close something off from your past here and really not look back. Like burn that out. I don't know, maybe you should even do some kind of ritual. You could write it all down. All of the times in your life where you felt your boundaries were crossed. And you know, it might even be a good process to write down where you think people cross those boundaries because, you know what, they were just assholes. Some people are. Like, we don't have to try to define, look so deeply into everything. Some people are just assholes. And then, but other times you can write it down and say, you know what? I was not clear with this person. Or I can see how I allowed them to take advantage of me. Because recognizing that and being aware of it is going to enable you to prevent it from happening again, which is going to enable you to have a really authentic life where the relationships that you have with people feel very authentic and feel really balanced. Because if you say, well, I don't want to look at, you know, where I did things wrong. I don't think most of you would say that, but there's some like, no, no. People crossed your boundaries because sometimes you let them do that. So yeah, and just write this stuff down. I can feel it, because sometimes I feel like when we write it down one more time, even if it's stuff from your childhood, and like burn it. Follow your fire safety rules wherever you live and be cautious because it's been pretty hot. So do it in a fireproof pot or something. Or shred it. Shred it. I don't know. But just let it go. There's something about fire here, obviously. So, I mean, it feels like it would be good to do that. Let it go. Process it and let it go. And honest to God, don't look back at it again. I mean, that's the whole idea of burning it up. Don't look back at it again. Because you're moving forward, and you're going to move forward in a way that is highly unique to you. And it is shining as brightly as you're meant to shine. And if in the past you didn't want to shine brightly because you felt like you were dimming other people's lights, no, you weren't. By dimming your own light, you were telling them it was okay to stay dim. As long as you were never pushing someone else down to elevate yourself, it's okay. If you're elevating yourself on your own, you're showing, look at how bright you can shine if you just do it. Do it for you. You can do this. And people will step up. Some people might be like, but eventually something's going to happen for them. And it is for the betterment of yourself and others. And not everything is meant to be processed, you know, by others of our experiences quickly and understandably. They may never get it, but that's okay. And some of them might, but it might take months or years. So the next challenge. Oh yeah, well, let's go here. We'll go. So we have the Page of Cups. Oh, the Five of Wands. That's interesting. And the Ace of Pentacles. The Five of Cups is at the bottom. Well, emotional disappointment, but that's like kind of what I just talked about, facing it. Like looking at things where boundaries were crossed and how some relationships did not end well, or didn't end how you hoped they would. Page of Cups and the Five of Wands, that immediately looks like, I don't know, is there something you feel like you need to apologize for? Or is there something that you want to mend? There might be something that you want to mend here. Is your next challenge. Your next challenge could even be accepting an apology or giving one. I don't know. It's really funny. Like we've got the Page of Cups walking into the Five of Wands. And the Page of Cups, out of all the pages, is the one that is kind of like the peacemaker, the olive branch, the apology. And the Five of Wands is a fight, a conflict, a competition. Oh, there was something about that. Just, oh, that's funny. As I sat down to do your reading, I saw, and I kind of forgot about it. I processed it and a message came in. And why would I forget about it? Maybe because it was meant right now. So I saw the envy card in this energy oracle deck. Just as I was sitting down to do your reading, I saw the envy card. And the message that came in with that is one of the most beneficial ways to look at envy is to look at it as competition. When you can embrace the concept of envy as competitive, you can recognize what types of relationships you're having with people. I was like, wow, this is pretty. Now I see, because the Five of Wands is a competitive energy. What types of relationships have you been having with people in the past? Have they been competitive? If they've been competitive, there's been envy there. Now, if it's a sporting event, or if you are like legitimately competing for something with someone, like it could be career paths, I don't know, like anything. What do you compete for? Growing the biggest pumpkin at the end of the year? Like, yeah, there could be envy because you're competing. But if these are personal relationships, you really shouldn't be competing in personal relationships. And so I thought that's a really interesting way to define envy, is competition. So people see it as competition, but why are they seeing it as it's not healthy to look at personal relationships as competitive. You shouldn't be doing that in any way. And a lot of people do that. They might look at their neighbors and try to keep up with the Joneses. There's competition and there's envy. So there's something here with the Five of Wands, how that came in just as I sat down. And isn't it funny? It's almost like, yes, it was meant to be, because then I forgot it. And usually, though, when I start a reading, I'll say, you know what, as soon as I start your reading, I got this vision came in, but it was gone, like I forgot it. It left my mind. But now it's like a vision, a new perspective. I feel like there's a ton of new perspectives in this reading based on how boundaries have been exercised in the past, as well as what envy and competition is. And those are not energies that should be present in your personal relationships. Those relationships should be supportive of self on both levels. No one should ever feel like they need to compete to be themselves. Ever. And no one around you should really feel like they need to compete to be themselves. The Ace of Pentacles comes in next. It's almost like a gift. A gift is given when the olive branch comes in. So I don't know if this is you accepting something. Probably. Because if you're coming from South Node Libra, you've probably been taken advantage of. That was pretty clear in most of the things that I read in this placement over the years. There might be something here with that. And I think that is a healthy way to look at an apology. Because if, you know, sometimes we don't want to forgive. But accepting apologies is the first way to forgiveness. And forgiveness is really always for yourself. Because someone can apologize to you. This is a really good example of this, like dealing with like little kids in the kindergarten yard. You know, they were always easily offended because they're just learning to not, they're like, it is like Aries energy. They're really trying to understand who they are and what they like and what they don't like. And most of them don't have any boundaries yet until they start getting physically or emotionally hurt. And then they start trying to figure out how to do that, right? Like that's literally what that is. And so you can have one friend or one fellow student like hurt another, and you try to get them to kind of resolve it, like usually by apologizing. And a lot of times, particularly when they're young or just, you know how close they are as friends, if the one apologizes, immediately the other one feels better because that one made the effort. So, okay, yeah, we can play again. You're going to learn to not be so rough. You're going to learn to try to think about what you're going to say before you say things. And yeah, I'm going to do that. And there they go. Sometimes they won't accept the apology. And that's always tricky because the one who's given the apology is like distraught. I did what I'm supposed to do. I said I'm sorry and I really meant it. And they won't want to play with me, Miss Cynthia. I know. And you have to explain. Apology is not always going to be accepted. You did what you did, and there's really nothing else you can do, except if it looks like they're open to you to walk towards them, to keep trying if that's what you want to do. But I think at this point it's up to them. And then that's what it becomes. It's the person who has to process the apology that it's kind of for at this point. Because you can continue to be angry. That kid can continue to be angry. And sometimes they will, and they'll go sit in the corner and they'll sulk or they'll cry or they'll just be mad. The one who apologized, like, well, what? All right, I'll go play with them. They're living their life again. That's why, like, forgiveness is for you, for no one else, because they're living their life, but you're the one still suffering because you haven't accepted the apology. And you're miserable. You're wasting your whole recess being miserable about it. Such an interesting message in here. Yeah, I'm really not sure how this plays out in your life, but this could not be stronger for me than Page of Cups walking into the Five of Wands. But it becomes tangible with the Ace of Pentacles. And not only does it become tangible, it becomes the new beginning. And that's like what your soul is looking for here, is a new beginning. Because you have this World card twice, and then you've got the Judgment card. That's what, come on, let's do this. Let's have a new beginning. Really, really actually a profound reading. It's kind of cool. So that's what I have. Charge towards your best days. This Empress. You know, okay, here's the other thing. You can't harness, you can't be this energy without some pretty solid boundaries. Because this is so much abundance, so much comfort, so much love, so much fruitfulness. It is cornucopia incarnate. It is beauty. It is beauty inside and out. This will draw every Tom, Dick, and Harry, Jane, Mary, and Susan. Like, it will bring everyone towards it. So I feel, are maybe prepared to be a good boundary creator here for yourself. Because that energy needs boundaries. So I'm going to go do the extended. In the extended, I focus more on like South Node, and I ask, what are you being asked to stop doing? What you should soften your grip on or change your concept of, and your next blessing. So thank you so much for being so patient, North Node Aries. Until next time, do be gentle with yourselves. Bye.